Hey, welcome to the Foster Fathers Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Kyle.
And this is a podcast all about foster care, adoption, and fatherhood.
We hope that you feel welcome. We hope that you feel that you belong. And we're glad that you're here to share this time with us.
Let's go. Yo, welcome to the podcast, my friendos. It's Chris and Kyle, although our intro says that. We're back. And we back.
We ain't ever left, dude. And this week's episode is brought to you by this ridiculously large container of cheese puffs that Chris and I have been eating for.
It was here when we started. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I mean, I feel like I've probably eaten 150 cheese puffs, and the level of cheese puffs in this container has not changed.
Dude, the serving size is 23.
Oh.
So that's.
I only had 7 servings.
So
only 7 servings.
1,000 calories, roughly. Anyways.
I needed it.
Welcome to the podcast. We've had a good week. Full transparency, I've had a hectic day.
What happened today?
Right before, so many things. Doctor's appointment, work was nuts. And then right before my wife got home, her van broke down in the middle of a street. And with all
a busy street. Fairview is a very busy street. Yeah,
all 4 kids plus our little niece, essentially. 5 kids.
You left her alone with 5 kids.
Dude, I was at Costco of all places checking out. Like, what? Okay. Anyways.
Well, that's a fair trade.
Yeah.
Costco's a lot of work.
Sure.
So is 5 kids.
Well, Kyle helped me pull it via a toe strap. Shout out, Sean. Thank you for your toe strap, brother. So, here we are.
Okay.
Recording like an hour and a half later
than
we normally would start, but
it's all right.
It's all good.
I mean, I did get to rock the littlest one to sleep, which is, again, always a plus for me.
Yeah, dude.
Never had a kid less than 2.5, and here this cute little dude. It was funny when you handed him to me. Like, my mind is like, okay, brace yourself. You're about to pick up a 40-pound kid, because all my kids are 40 pounds. Actually, our youngest is heavier than his 2 older sisters.
Dude, yep.
Yeah. He's heavier. Anyways, sorry. We had a doctor's appointment last week.
Biological is a year and a month or so younger than our adopted daughter, and he weighs the same, if not more.
Great. That is a big gap.
Yeah,
that is a big gap. Anyways, so you handed him to me, and I was like, "Oh, this kid's light."
Yeah.
This kid's light.
That kid is what's called a baby.
Yeah, dude. But there was something really cool that happened today that you wanted to incorporate into your This Week in Foster Care.
Yeah, This Week in Foster Care is, this is what we're here for. Is how you put it. In our little Bible study or whatever we do, and having a conversation with a person and fairly new to our group, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's like, dude, we've thought about fostering or adopting for the last 2 years. It's crazy that we just joined this group, and that's what you do.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, dude, I got to go. There's a van on the side of the road somewhere. I got to, and I'm like, it just something in me was like, just stop.
Stay and talk.
Just talk.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. That's why we're here.
That's exactly it. It's like waiting for moments like that to be a resource, a connection.
Yeah. If it could be convenient, it could be like on a schedule. That'd be fantastic. No.
Yes.
I'm the least
I need you to show up between 12:15 and 12:25. We'll have this conversation then. Yeah.
And we'll leave with a clean decision that you've then entered.
Everybody is deciding to do foster care. That is the outcome.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. Like, funny enough, I was like, dude, Kyle's on the way to my house. Like, I got to get going. No, but it was cool to just kind of sit in that conversation and just to see maybe arguably where my wife and I were a couple years ago. Not that we're ahead of anybody, but just at the
point of decision.
Yeah, hey, we've been talking about it, but are we going to do something? And
it's funny because you actually said one of the issues that we've talked about came up. Or a couple actually.
I don't think I could give them back. In our situation, and it's still open-ended. We are in a foster care situation right now. Nothing. Yeah. You're on the way to adoption, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But we're in the middle of foster.
Yeah.
Potential reunifications on the table.
The unknown is still present.
Yep. So, literally walking through the idea of I could give this kid back. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But that's just the number one question you have.
And what did you tell him? He says I can't give him back, and you say I understand that feeling.
Yeah.
At this moment, I'm experiencing that. But yeah,
you're more capable than you're capable of more than you think. Something we talked about last week. which is funny. And then also just like you don't know, like your pain is worth his or her safety or temporary help.
Yeah.
And so just sharing our story a little bit, and him and his wife were talking, and it was like a little bit like, wait, so you've reunified a kid and you don't really have contact with him anymore? And I goes, yeah, this is a funny phrase to talk about. It's like, there's a chance, as young as he was when we had him, he may never know who we were.
Yeah.
In his whole life.
Yeah.
Isn't that a wild thought?
This is crazy.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that was a fun. And then I'm like, all right, are we good? Have we adequately talked about this? I gotta go. Just kidding. No, I'm not trying to. I'm not a jerk. I'm not trying to
I don't think those conversations can be. It's so much more than just a logical argument that you're convincing somebody on.
No, absolutely.
It's and it's a continued. It's buying in. $1 at a time, $1 at a time. Not actually literally, but figuratively.
I give them $1 every time.
Yeah. If we talk about this enough times, we get to $100. You have to adopt a kid. But you're buying in little bit by little bit, totally. and I think that you get to a point of convincing. I've never been one to. I'm not a salesman. Yeah, definitely not a salesman, and but I do want to help encourage people to do the right thing. So and you have a chance to build a relationship, support them, and then when they do come to a point of stepping forward into foster care and adoption, you'll be present there to help them out in that, which is really when they, the early stuff is easy. Yeah. You're looking back at it now, the early stuff is easy. Unless you're in
it and it's hard and it's heavy. I get it. We understand. But also this is the easy part.
That's the easy part, dude. Just wait until you're also making these decisions, having all these feelings, and you have 4 kids. Yeah. It'll come. It's so funny because, I used to always laugh at parents that were like, man, parenting is the hardest thing of your life. But it's so worth it, brother. They would just get super cheesy.
We've literally done a podcast
now,
saying that.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah. And we were talking with a friend the other night, and the exact same thing. This is the most exasperating thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah. But I couldn't trade it in. Yeah, no. I couldn't trade it in for anything now. So, cool. I believe it, and I believe it's good. But it's hard, and so that's actually let's use that as our transitional.
That's the word.
Moment, dude. Where's my wife when I need her? Jessica, correct me here.
Please, grammar.
We had last night. We had some friends over, and I said a word, and Jessica stares at me, and she goes, mm-mm. She shakes her head. Mm-mm.
That wasn't right, dog.
And then I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it was a word.
Wow, dude.
I was barely out of context, but it was, in fact, a word. Wow. So, anyways, I just want to say that sometimes I get it right.
Sometimes.
2 things I've ever gotten right in my life. I married the right woman, and I was right last night. Those are my 2 times that I've ever been right. Yeah. Anyway, so
let's
to transition about being supported, tonight we were going to talk about cheesy, the cheesy tagline, but we all need somebody to lean on.
Dude, this is a random story. It just came to my mind as you said that. My middle school graduation, my principal was pretty corny, and he had the whole class like arm in arm around each other like this, and we sang "Lean on Me."
If you're not strong,
it's a great song, though. To be honest,
I'll be your friend. Oh, it's really good.
Yeah. Well, and it comes from this place where, where we live, and probably most of the people listening live in Idaho. But we got to.
My mom doesn't live in Idaho.
No, that's true. My mom lives a mile and a half away from me. We got this opportunity to kind of host a night where we just kind of said, I think we mentioned it a couple episodes ago, but Bros and Brews, which Kyle thought that was stupid. I also kind of think it's fun, but stupid as well.
I did.
Kind of.
I thought it was fitting.
Yeah.
I thought it was fitting.
No agenda.
What was the function? Yeah. So what was the function?
Edge Brewing. Shout out Edge Brewing for hosting us on Wing Wednesday. They set up a corner of the room. They just put a sign down that says reserved. Please don't sit here. No. But if you want to sponsor us, Edge Brewing, we would love a beer sponsor. I mean, come on, that'd be sick.
I have cheese puffs all over me.
All we need is beer, and so we all met up there, and this is a little bit. The state has kind of tapped us up a little bit, say, hey, we love what you're doing with the podcast. We've been looking for something with the guys, and would you consider something? And it was a little bit like, not to say it was a fight by any means, because the state's been great, but yeah, but I really don't think I would want to like try and get them all to sit around a circle and open up a book, and at least not yet, maybe.
Kumbaya, my love.
You know, and not that I'd maybe argue that ladies need to start with something fun too, but just something like, hey, let's get everyone in a room.
Yeah.
And the premise was no agenda. Like, we're going to have beer and some food and hang.
So what do you think the biggest thing that, I mean, we're focusing on dudes, it's foster fathers, focusing on the guy component of, sorry, I can't say dudes. Everybody gets called dude in my book.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the biggest thing that guys need as they travel down this road of foster care?
Man, that's a really layered answer. I don't know fully, but I think a little bit, at least maybe what I would do is the understanding that isolation isn't the answer.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very prone myself personally to be like, yeah, I can do it.
Yep.
I'll just white knuckle this thing and eventually I'll crack.
Yeah.
But I won't, though, because I'm strong and tough and manly. But like the manliest thing you probably can do is admit you need some help.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of funny. Like, funny's not the word, but everyone sits around and everyone kind of knows what the common denominator is, and they're ordering a beer, and then you go like, what's your situation?
What are you in here for?
Yeah. What are you in here for, dude? And you're like, dude, I got 2 kids, and you know, one of them's a foster care and I adopted, and then you just start going, dude, me too. Oh yeah, dude, did you feel this? Oh, bro, like,
yep.
And it just like, it's like a levee broke. Just shout out to Led Zeppelin.
I thought, you know, I talked with one of these guys, and you know, he said, "Hey, we have 2 biological kids, and the biological kids split the adopted kid, right? So older and younger, with the adopted kid,
right in the middle.
Age in the middle." And he said, "Man, I mean, I've been a dad for X amount of years, and there are feelings that I'm feeling, frustrations, you know, confusion, like incapacity of what, you know, knowing how to parent, what to do, that I never experienced in all the years that I've been a dad." Yeah. And he said, "I thought I was alone in this.
Yeah.
I thought it was, you know, and I said, I've never been a dad before, but I've experienced, you know, like confusion. You know, I've experienced all these things of just not knowing what to do next, not knowing how best to, you know, just situations that there's not a lot of handbooks for. And I go to you know, some of my buddies, and you know, oh, they're like, no, not really my story, you know. And so he found relief in the fact that our stories had this additional emotional and decision making component of what's the next best thing to do. And you could just see this relief come off him. And I said, "Hey man, how do I support you?" He's like, "Let's get coffee." Yeah. You know, and that was it. It was that relationship of saying, you know, I'm not giving him any, you know, incredible advice. I was just saying, I'm experiencing some non-traditional situations. Yeah. You are too. You're not alone in this. Like, you're struggling with, you know, I think we talked about it a little bit back of, you know, like what to do when the state says this and you're thinking that, and how to go about that, and just navigating that. That's, again, I mean, it's hard because there's mixed feelings and mixed expectations, and there's a lot of rapidly changing decisions to be made. And so he just found consolation in the fact that we were in a unique setting, and
it's funny, the feeling after something like that. Like, this sounds like we've been dating or something, but the first time we got some coffees and stuff, and you're like, I don't know,
you asked all the questions. You asked questions in a way that was like, okay. And that's actually how I needed to process it. Nobody else up until that point had asked me those questions.
Yeah, and it was like not even that I felt like I did anything special. I was just like, dude, I literally just am doing this too at the same time.
But it's the place that it's not the questions that it's the place that you're questioning, that your care, that your concern is coming from.
Yeah.
You know, that you're seeing the things you've seen the things that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
You know, or at least elements of that.
Well, let's talk post that night. You called me driving home. Like, dude, that was cool, man.
Yeah.
Like that feeling, and you know, we got funny praise on Facebook. You don't know that, but from all the wives, it's like kind of, you did it, like all that. And we had a good turnout. We had a pretty good turnout, which was really cool, and hopefully first of many. And but it was like atta boy, the dads did it finally, and you're like, okay, thanks. But at the same time, like, what is that feeling after? Like, is that feeling heard? Is that empowerment? Is that like fueling up for the next?
I think what I felt was just excitement that there were other guys who cared.
Yeah.
And that they could see that there were other guys that cared, right? Like I think you know, we've talked about this before. You and I are in a unique situation that we are both bought in.
Yeah.
And I think there's a handful of guys who were there who were fairly bought in, but there's a couple of them who, you know, you could tell it was primarily their wife's prodding.
There were a few dudes, shout out, you probably know who you are, that they, without lack of a better term, really drug their wives into it with them.
Right.
I sat across one dude, and he was like, dude, we bought this house. It has 3 extra bedrooms. Our kids are growing up. This is what we're going to do. And he's like, I mean, it took a little convincing from the wife, the wife, but he was like, and then now they're both like just fully committed, but it's just, you just don't know.
Yeah. But it's great to have that space to explore, hear, be encouraged, and be supported. You know, have someone. A few of those guys were legends. You know, they've been doing it for a while. One of them had five fostered or adopted kids.
Andre the Giant figure.
Yeah, yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah,
legit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Well, my insecurity creeps in where I go, well, I've kind of only had one placement, multiple facets of the same one case.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was 3 for 3 on the, like, potentials there, you know, reunification, adoption, and surprise, really. And so, I mean, that's our story.
Trifecta.
Yeah, 3 for 3, dude, bingo. It would be bing.
You've hit them all.
Yeah, I don't know. 2 free spaces in this bingo game. But, yeah, it's just like, then you look at one dude with 6 kids.
Yeah.
And, like, he won the bingo card, dude. So,
yeah.
I don't know. What would you say, maybe someone's listening who didn't come, maybe if you live in Idaho, please come to the next one. But then also, if you don't, like, what would you say to somebody on the other side of this?
Yeah.
That's prone to isolation and is probably leaning into isolation. And seeing his wife.
Don't do it.
Bro, you have no choice.
Your wife's getting more and more jazzed about all of her friend groups, and you're getting less and less. You're getting more and more isolated. Well, I mean, this is what, before you go too far in the shutting down, the non-engagement, engage. Mm-hmm. With one of the guys that I talked with most, you know, in order for him to express his vulnerabilities, I had to express mine first. I had to go to that point where I was, you know, I discussed some of my struggles, the scaries that you leave in the closet that you don't want people to know, you know, whether, you know, some of it was even just like frustration with how the case was handled, those types of things, right? Because there's sometimes this, like, you know, you look over your shoulder. If I say something, is someone going to come in and take my kid away?
Caseworkers around the corner.
Right, you know, they're just listening in. Yeah. They're just waiting to catch you in saying something bad. And so I led with vulnerability, and what I got in return was honesty and connection. And that's what we need. I mean, that's what we need. We need men out there who are going to say, I'm going to go there first. I'm going to have that awkward request. Yeah, you want to go grab coffee? You want to go grab a beer? You want to go, you know,
putt golf?
You want to go talk about your feelings, dude? You want to sit around and talk about your feelings?
If 2 dudes putt golf, is that weird? No.
You know, So I mean, so that's my my encouragement is go there, be vulnerable. Lead as Brene Brown, hero of mine, but you have to lead with vulnerability, and you're gonna be amazed at what you get in return.
Yeah.
And that's what people need. I mean, they need to be supported. They already are vulnerable.
Yeah.
We already are all in a vulnerable spot. If you're adopting, if you're doing foster care, you're setting yourself up for a baton to drop, a pain to hit, and it seems like the hardest thing that you can do is take that next step and bring on unnecessary. You've already brought on a lot of pain.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, cool, I'm gonna go share my feelings with this guy, and he's gonna be like, whoa, you're a weirdo,
dude.
But the fact of the matter is, I mean, everybody at that table, there was a mutual understanding
and relief, maybe
absolutely. And so that's what I felt, was like that elation was born out of like a relief, and I felt what other people what everyone else was excited about as well.
And I think there's this like misconception, and maybe it's coming to light more and more in our day and age in our culture, that people will be impressed with strength and navigating through something. Wow, look at this man, he's doing that hard thing and he's not even struggling. My brain does that. But there's the reality and the realness, and I think maybe what our culture and even people are really waking up to is, I'd rather the authenticity. I relate with you more in seeing your weakness and than you pretending you have it, because I mean, unless you're a superhero, you don't.
Well, let's recap. What is your motivation for hosting these nights? I mean, deep down, I mean, what is it that gets Chris to say
that Edge Brewing would sponsor our podcast?
That's the goal.
That's it, dude.
Come on.
There's no chance.
Just to open tab. Just to open.
Yeah, come back. No.
We're gonna bring 20 foster dads.
Here's the thing.
To the park. Can we just get them all paid for? Yeah. No. What is it? I mean, what is it that says, I mean, because I know you're like me. You're doing a little bit more, but you're already busy.
Yeah.
You're already busy. You're already leaving your wife a couple nights, just because out of other obligations that you have to be a normal functioning citizen, normal functioning member of your community. You're coaching baseball, all that stuff.
It's over this week.
Thank goodness,
Get 2
dude.
days
That's
back.
great. Yeah, that's awesome. So, to say, hey, and for Tracy to say, hey, I'm gonna stand behind you and let you embrace this path. What is the motivating factor for you?
You're giving me a lot of credit that I have this much foresight about something, but
no,
I mean, it's not
what is it birthed out of, man?
I don't know the answer you're looking for here. I don't know. Just I think that's what we needed. I think that's the communities that we needed. The tribe, if you will, the togetherness. Obviously, I think endurance comes to play here, because when you can shoulder each other's burdens, I think it's a little bit easier to carry and hopefully carry further.
Yeah.
And make an impact in the valley. I don't know, what's the answer?
I mean, I think it goes back to this the core belief on why we're doing this podcast is that, is it going to be great to give people helpful information?
Yeah,
is it going to be great to give them advice? Is it going to be great to give them encouragement? Absolutely. But the number one thing that we want to provide, and this is your vision, is you're not alone, dude. You have somebody here. Yeah. You have people who are going through the same garbage as you, and you can come and be known and not be ostracized.
And we've had a few. I mean, not that this is a shameless plug, but I guess it does help if you will. We've had a few emails, and we've had a few comments and podcast reviews, if that's hint, if you want to leave one of those. It does help us. But of just saying, wow. Oh, remember that one we got? Maybe you don't, but it was actually a mom that was like, I'm in the middle of cleaning my house. The kids freaked out 4 times listening to this 30-minute episode, but for some reason it just felt right. Like, it felt like, wow, that's absolutely what this is about. Like, I would love to meet every single person that listens to our show. And someone the other day was like, listening to your podcast. I was so embarrassed. And I don't know why.
Agreed.
I was like, dude, you listen to that. I'm so sorry, dude. But it's also at the same time like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, if you even just laughed and it gave you a break, or I don't know. If
I
that's
think
the
sometimes
feeling.
the most encouraging thing is just like being able to resonate with somebody else.
Yeah. Okay, well that's that, dude.
Yeah,
You're not meant to walk alone. You need somebody to lean on, and you need some cheese balls. If you have any of them around you, that is your homework. Bring that into the mic, dude. ASMR cheese balls. Is that what that's called? All right. Later.
See ya.